It's been a complete whirlwind. Touchdown, first greetings, meeting Prime Minister Harper, closed-door discussions, and jetting back to the White House in time for dinner. Peter Collett's been watching today's events with a trained eye. He's a body language expert, and he joins me now from the UK. Welcome back to Daily Planet, Peter.
Thank you very much.
So let's start with Air Force One. When Obama gets off, what does that reveal?
Well, right from the very, very start, he's making a point. Notice the way in which he runs down the steps.
Right.
Now, this is interesting because, in a way, it's a statement about the relationship between Canada and the US. He is the personification, he's the embodiment of the US, and in a way, he's the kind of the body politic. And what he's saying, in effect, is, you know, we may be in trouble, but look at me, I'm super fit. And so, by the way, is the US of A. But there's another very interesting little message that he's sending, and it all relates to animal behavior. So, for example, if you watch what happens when gazelles are being stalked by a lion, sometimes a few of them will jump up and down in order to show their fitness. And that's exactly what he's doing too. He's saying, in effect, look, there's no point in trying to catch me, I'm too fast for you.
Right, this is when he's doing that little jog down. It's kind of icy, those stairs in Canada. He should be careful, though. Now, let's fast forward to when he meets Harper. What do you think there? Let's start with our Prime Minister.
Yeah, now this is a very interesting greeting. We can't make very much of the handshake itself, but notice the fact that it's Obama who makes the first move. He actually nods and says something even before he gets anywhere near Harper. Now, what's fascinating about this is that psychologists have discovered, repeatedly, by the way, that when you put people together, strangers together, it's the person who makes the first move who invariably ends up as the leader of the group. And that's, in effect, what he's doing. He's taking control, he's taking the initiative, and he continues to do this throughout their meeting.
You feel this way more about Barack Obama than about Stephen Harper, though, right?
Well, it says a little bit about both of them, but I think in that particular instance, it tells us a lot about Obama, and that is he likes to keep things on the move. He's very much the person who calls the shots. So, for example, notice the way in which it's him who suggests that they go outside and wave. When they do go out and wave, notice the amplitude of the wave.
Right, I noticed that.
Obama, yeah, did you notice that?
Well, it's so much more pronounced, Obama's hands.
Very much so. Harper's hands are, you know, fairly muted. And it's not very easy to interpret this. It could be either that Obama is much more expressive, whereas Harper is slightly more reserved, or alternatively, it's a circumstantial, a situational thing, something to do with the fact that for Harper, these people who are standing there being waved to are much closer to him, and therefore he doesn't have to produce, quote-unquote, such a big wave.
Right.
It's something to do with psychological distance.
Absolutely. Now, how about a power struggle? Did you sense any of that in terms of the body language between the two leaders?
Absolutely. There's a lot of it going on. There's a lot of power play. Notice a fascinating thing. When they come to the end of the wave, what actually happens? It's Obama who pats Harper on the back. Now, this pretends to be a kind of friendly gesture, but in fact, it's a power sign. It's a way of reminding Harper that he is the senior partner. When they're coming up the stairs, they're in complete unison. There's nothing to distinguish them. But the moment they get to the top of the stairs, everything changes. For example, as they go between the two pillars, it's Obama who's in the center position. He's got the central lane, whereas Harper, shame, he's actually relegated to the slow lane on the side. Notice, if you see, that in fact this slows Harper down, so much so that when they move on, Obama is actually one step ahead. And this acts as a kind of motif. It's almost as though Obama is calling the shots time and time again, even when he doesn't need to. Even when Harper points to show what is required as the next move, as is the case after the signing, for example, it's Obama who replicates the move in a much more exaggerated fashion. It's as though he's not happy with having directions from Harper. He needs to produce them himself.
Well, there's one point where Stephen Harper kind of fiddles with his lapel a little bit. What does that say about him?
Well, Harper almost is invisible in this little exchange, isn't he? He doesn't actually impose himself very much on the situation. Now, that's partly because he's the host and he's allowing the guest to occupy the major, you know, the main part of the stage.
And also, we Canadians don't tend to be that ostentatious, you know what I mean, as a nation. No?
No, true. But it's not only to do with national character, it's also got something to do with his own personality, which is naturally one in which he will, he will mute the messages down and he won't exaggerate them. What you see on the part of Obama is a lot of flamboyant behavior, all designed to attract people at a great distance, draw them in, and to impose himself on the situation. That is not what your Prime Minister is doing.
Did you see any signs of anything between them that would make you think that they weren't friendly or buddy-buddy?
No, I think everything tells us, certainly their body language indicates very clearly that there's a decent, friendly relationship going on there. But this is overshadowed by the fact that Obama is very keen on imposing himself on the situation. He's a natural leader, he's a natural alpha, and he can't help himself calling the shots and dominating the center of the stage.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Peter.
Pleasure.
Peter Collett is a body language expert and the author of The Book of Tells. He joined me today from the UK.